Google's AI is editing the internet, not suggesting changes, not flagging misinformation. It is literally rewriting live websites in real time, and it's doing it under the radar. What sounds like a Black Mirror episode is actually a real-world development called Web Environment Integrity, or WEI, an experimental feature that Google has quietly introduced into its browser environment, and it's already being called one of the most dangerous moves in modern tech history. This isn't just about cookies or tracking pixels. This is about rewriting what you see on a web page before it ever reaches your eyes. It's about Google sitting between you and the internet, deciding what parts of a website you should be allowed to experience. Stay with me, because from here to the end of the video, I'm going to show you how Google's AI could one day alter everything from search results to your access to independent journalism, all without your knowledge, and how this small-sounding feature could have massive consequences for freedom on the web. Web Environment Integrity was first discovered as a new browser API designed to verify the trustworthiness of web environments. The basic idea sounds harmless enough. Google claims WEI is supposed to protect users from fraud and malicious environments. It gives websites a way to check if a visitor is using a legitimate browser on a secure device and not some tampered setup or botnet. But critics quickly spotted the darker implications. What WEI actually does is introduce a mechanism for websites, or rather gatekeepers like Google, to decide if a browser or device is trustworthy based on their standards. If it's not, the site might be blocked, rewritten, or limited. And who defines what trustworthy means? Google and its partners. Let that sink in. This means a website could show one version of itself to a Google Chrome user on Windows and a completely different version, or nothing at all, to someone using a privacy-focused browser like Brave or Tor. And because the process is done through a trusted attestation token verified by a third party, there's almost no transparency. You can't see what's being filtered, altered, or removed. In short, this is the browser acting as both the judge and the gatekeeper, an AI-driven censorship layer embedded in the very tool you use to access the web. Developers were quick to notice the risks. Independent coders, open-source advocates, and cybersecurity experts started raising alarms as soon as the WEI proposal surfaced. GitHub threads exploded. Hacker News lit up. People weren't just skeptical. They were furious. They said it was a war on open web standards, that it undermined user agency, that it was a Google Trojan horse for total web control. Even Elon Musk, never one to hold back on opinions, called it terrifying. And when someone like Musk, who runs one of the largest AI companies on the planet, is disturbed by an AI browser feature, people tend to pay attention. So why is this so terrifying? Because WEI could easily be used as a censorship tool. Imagine visiting a news site from a country with strict media controls. Your browser decides the site isn't trustworthy and modifies or blocks content. Or maybe you're trying to access a whistleblower platform, but your browser, pre-vetted by Google, blocks the page or sanitizes sensitive documents. You'd have no idea what you missed. This is the digital equivalent of reading a newspaper with whole sections redacted, not by the government, but by the browser you trusted to show you the world. And this isn't science fiction. AI is already being used to modify images, deepfake videos, and rewrite text. Combining that power with real-time browser control means Google could effectively tailor reality for every user based on unseen criteria. Now think about the monopolistic aspect. Google runs Chrome, the world's most popular browser. They own the search engine that dominates internet traffic. And now with WEI, they're inserting themselves between users and the open web under the pretense of security. That's not just a slippery slope. That's a straight drop into centralized control. And here's where it gets even more chilling. Web environment integrity isn't just a concept. It's already being tested. Developer logs have shown early implementations of WEI features in Chromium builds. Meaning, this isn't a draft on a whiteboard. This is code running in browsers right now, being deployed and fine-tuned under experimental flags. And because it's being baked into Chromium, the open-source base of Chrome, any browser that relies on Chromium, like Microsoft Edge, Opera, and even some parts of Brave, is at risk of inheriting this control layer unless developers rip it out manually. Google's own documentation claims WEI can help prevent cheating in online games, protect DRM content, and fight spam. But it doesn't take much to imagine this system being abused by advertisers, authoritarian governments, or even Google itself, especially when those use cases are undefined and open-ended. And remember, this all happens invisibly. You won't get a warning, you won't be told that your page was modified. There will be no pop-up saying, "This content has been altered for your safety." It will just look normal. But it won't be. Which begs the question, how do we even define normal on a web that's filtered through someone else's lens? This is exactly why developers and users alike are calling for immediate transparency. They want browser makers to reject WEI. They want regulators to step in before this becomes an industry standard. Because if WEI becomes widespread, it won't just be Google editing the internet. It will be every big tech company fighting for control of the browser layer, the final front line between users and truth. And let's not forget, this isn't Google's first attempt at changing browser behavior under the guise of security. Remember Flock? Google's federated learning of cohorts was a privacy-invasive ad tech project that tracked user behavior across the web. After massive backlash, Google was forced to rebrand it and tone it down. Now, many see WEI as part 2 of that same playbook, an experiment to see just how much control they can get away with. So what can you do? First, speak up. Add your voice to the chorus of developers rejecting WEI. Talk about it on Reddit, Twitter, Mastodon, wherever your community lives. Second, consider using browsers that put user control first. Firefox, for example, has so far shown no interest in implementing WEI. The same goes for ungoogled Chromium and Tor. Support browser projects that value transparency and user sovereignty. And finally, stay informed, because this is only going to get more complicated. AI is not slowing down, and the battle for how the internet is shaped and who gets to shape it is just beginning. If you found this video helpful or eye-opening, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss our deep dives into the hidden layers of tech power. We're just getting started. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay free.